Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Harmony. I am a twin flame expert helping twin flames around the globe face fears, find freedom, and glow forward on fire. Welcome to today's series, part 5 of getting into alignment with all that is in the 5-part series that is the Twin Flames Return to Oneness. So I'm going to welcome you today, and I especially want to thank you for having joined along through this 5-part series. I know, some of them have been quite lengthy, and I know it's been a lot of information to absorb, a lot of very good concepts, ideas, tips, tools, techniques, things to put into motion, but also very valuable. So I have been shown by guidance, as I've mentioned, that this is just information that is to help assist you, and the feedback I have gotten has just been phenomenal in the aspect of how it's helped others and the transformation that is already going on just from this 5-part series. So I could not be more excited about this 5-part series. As always, I'm just the vessel, bringing into form that which is part of my destiny. And I thank you for being a part of that, for being a part of my journey, and allowing me to show up here in a space and a place to also confirm my own revelations of my own destiny, which is what we're talking about here when we're talking about getting into alignment with all that is. That means get into alignment with your destiny. That means getting into alignment with your divine mission, your contract, I should be saying, not necessarily the mission aspect, but I want to say, rephrase that to our contract of what we signed up to learn, experience, and what are the evolution of our soul as to it returning to the oneness, returning to light, returning to a place of infinite possibilities and no lack, not living from a place of the finite or the lack of, but in all that it is all for our taking when we're in alignment, meaning that which is our journey that we are to have an experience, whether it be good or bad. It's all perfect. It's all part of the process. And I call this getting in the glow. It is also, getting in the vortex. Sometimes we refer to getting in the vortex, and that being where these infinite abundance is for our taking, so that when we're in that space, this is where we're talking about everything for a journey appears. And you will know you're in that space when things for your journey show up. And I do want to say that one of the biggest keys about living in the glow, or getting in the glow, and living in the abundance and being in alignment with our destiny here, and alignment with all that is learning to understand the harmonic balance and living with it through ease and grace, and to be in acceptance of that all that is, and realizing that the good and the bad are both needed for the harmonic balance of perfection, and the perfection is the harmonic balance of the good and the bad. And that, when we are living in this space, it is being in spirit. It is being in, which is also inspired, and it is a place of just no lack, as I mentioned, and like that is being connected to source. That is where we co-create our life and who it is we are and what we came here to do, and make the impact on the world in the way that we chose to do so, leaving our own legacy of light for other people to follow, and being also that North Star, and having been the chosen ones of being twin flames. We are saying that we signed up for this journey to be able to experience these things, so that now we can share the light with others that others can follow us, and we're giving back for all that we received. And in doing so, living in our alignment of that means we get to reap the rewards of all that we basically desire. So it comes down to also, what do you desire? And another piece of that is, what do you believe? You know, whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. Whether you believe in the twin flame journey or not, you're right. What is it you want? You need to reevaluate your circumstances, your journey, and get really clear on what it is that you want, first of all, and then realizing that doing that from a place of heart and doing it from a place of like the inner gut, the GPS that's directing us along this journey into the alignment of Vortex. And then to not beat ourselves up with self-sabotage when we're not in the perfect space that we consider perfect 100% of the time. But that it is perfect that when we are in alignment with our highest version of ourselves, and then we dip down into maybe the lowest version of ourselves, that is all of ourselves, and that is all perfect. And that is still all of the plan. And returning to that oneness in that is, I've talked about in the 5-part series, and this is kind of summing some of that up, and which, by the way, I will tell you, if you're coming in here at this phase of the 5 parts, I highly, highly recommend, as I have before, that you start over with part 1, getting into alignment with the sacred self, part 2, then getting into alignment with source, part 3, getting into alignment with purpose, part 4, getting into alignment with your beloved, the highest partner of this lifetime, and part 5, being in alignment with all that is, as I mentioned, is your destiny, is your agreement, is the vortex, is getting in the glow. Infinite possibilities. So when we do that, we really then come into the harmonic balance of the oneness of self, the oneness of with source, the oneness with purpose, the oneness with love, which gives us oneness in life, which is the oneness with all. It's living it. It's living it out loud, living our passion out loud. And that, you know, in order to do this, it is about going through the enlightenment process. And along the journey, we've had to lighten the load. We've had to shift ourselves in crossing that rainbow bridge, which is getting in alignment with all of these things. So, you know, going across that rainbow bridge, we could think of that as getting to the sacred self, going across the rainbow bridge to our purpose, going across the rainbow bridge to, so, you know, connecting with source is coming across the rainbow bridge, with our beloved being, you know, on the other side of that rainbow bridge. And then our destiny and our soul's agreement on the other side of that bridge. And then when you pull all of those things together, they all become like a multidimensional aspect of the rainbow bridge, which is then, you know, broken down into the concept, and this is what people will talk about in the twin flame journey, of returning to the light. Meaning that, you know, once you go through across this rainbow bridge and you've aligned with all that is, and then you come into the oneness with definitely even your beloved being the reward aspect, at least one of the rewards, then you get to choose whether you come back to experience, you know, further progression or further expansion or further sharing and the consciousness collective as a whole, and the enlightenment aspect to share that. Because at that phase of the journey, you have returned to light. You are light. You have made your journey basically back home. And so this whole journey is about shifting from like letting go of the karmic patterns and finding personal peace and personal freedom in our journey. And that in doing so, it sets our soul free to experience that, you know, the free aspect of our soul, like to live free, to be free, to love freely without the anchors of the weighted down karmic past that we've been clearing this whole time. And another piece of this to make sure to remember, this is kind of coming through here, that in this process that you've been going kind of through this, it's been in search of, okay? And this is key here. You've been in search of these things. You've been in search of yourself and your purpose and your journey and your twin and all the great things in life that you want to experience. But that creates the separation from you and everything. And to realize that, you know, everything is already inside, everything's already in alignment, and you're just tuning into the alignment and the channel. And therefore, there is no separation, and that's how you can be in alignment with all. Now, I want to just share this with you. I'm always having things happen, you know, as you get to know me even more. That is my divine connection and my divine revelations, and how my guides are always showing me things. And this happened probably around the time I had recorded the Twin Flames alignment with purpose. And I had went outside in the evening, just about, it was dark, but there was just a little haze still of you know, light. And I happened to look up. And when I did, I saw the most amazing shooting star I'd ever saw in my life. And it was falling like towards me and like coming towards, and it was a green like ball of light. It turned into like this green ball of light that had a green trail behind it. And then when it got like to the base of, I mean, it was so close to me, I thought it was gonna like hit the ground and just keep coming. And my eyes just get really big, and then it went into this big ball and just went poof. And I was just like, holy cow. It was the most beautiful, majestic thing I think I've ever consciously seen, like right before my eyes. And this is the point here. You know, you've heard the saying of wishing upon a star, and that when you see the falling star, you make a wish. Well, when you know, whenever I actually had just pulled a card in that time frame that was a shooting star and said existence and showed this female, I actually should have pulled the card to tell you this, but I didn't know the story was coming out. But it showed this female in a lotus flower sitting there watching the star. And I looked up, you know, the kind of the meaning of the card, because I'd never really read the meaning of the card. But it talked about in the existence of who we are, that realizing there is no separation wishing, that there is no wishing here, that it is. And that like to return to this oneness of all that is the return home, which means is how we get into alignment with the inner peace and the happiness that's inside, and being in the eye of the storm, that no matter what's going on the outside, that it all exists. And that we can get our signs along the way to show us that, you know, like me seeing a shooting star like that, it was showing me that I was in alignment, because to me, it was my representation of the divine saying, you aren't wishing, you're there, you are in alignment, you are home. And it was like a celebration. It was so beautiful. And this is no joke. I wish somebody could have like videoed this or saw me or whatever, but my mouth like dropped open. And I was like, I know, I could just picture, it was like, and I covered my mouth, like, and I think that, you know, where it took me to a place of that maybe I've never been in my life, was feeling like a little child. Like for the first time, you know, seeing something that was so beautiful, like maybe even, you know, the little baby in a crib that sees the stars going around on the little mobile that they make. And I don't even know if they make them really anymore, but they probably do. But now they get the ones that are going around on a ceiling. But, you know, that catches the attention and the amazement of the childlike and the innocence of that. See, we've lost our innocence. We've gotten away from the concept and the idea that, and been bogged down by the thoughts and the mind and the monkey mind, that we've forgotten to embrace this journey from a place of purity, innocence, vulnerability, and enjoying the journey, and realizing again that it's just already inside of you, and that all we have to do now, another key point, is to make sure that when we're in this like alignment or in the vortex, in the glow, that we can embrace the harmonic balance of it with grace. So embracing the harmonic balance with grace. That is key to staying in alignment. And to realize that we're not perfect. We are human. And we might have what appears to be 2 steps forward and 1 step back. And that we might zigzag across this rainbow bridge from where we are to where we want to be. But that as we zigzag back and forth, that we're evolving in the process, and you'll never go back to where you used to be. You will only continue to expand. You might dip down into that, but you will not stay there as long as you were before, nor will you ever go as deep in it as you had been. And so in order to embrace that journey, you have to learn how to acknowledge the journey, first of all, then accept the journey, and then allow to be open to connecting to all that is to show up for the journey. And that is how we build the one self. That is the connection of the sacred self, which is self-love. So, you know, people kind of like question, like, what is self-love? You know, these are the kind of the self-love things I'm talking about. Not giving yourself away, staying connected, learning how to set loving boundaries without walls. Because when we set up the walls, we block that, which is, we have to stay open to allow these things to show up. And then this also, in this process, helps us to get in alignment with Source, which is how then we come out of that leading with the love that helps us generate and create the one love that we then go forward with and learn how to share the love that will create the passion we need to create one purpose, so that we can like now love what we live, and that with that we can then create the one life within the harmonic balance of our dynamic of our twin flame journey, and then also do that with like that purpose and passion to where we love our life. And that is how we then create collectively doing this, the one world, which is loving our mission and our purpose going forward of being the leaders of love. So, I'm glad I recorded that, because that was good. That was powerful stuff. So what I want to share with you today, and kind of breaking this down, is some ways that you can learn how to glow forward on fire, meaning that, you know, you're in the vortex, and now that you're doing all these things, how can you stay in this harmonic balance and be able to continue to shine and share the shine. And one of the number one, well, I'll kind of list them out, and then I'll kind of, that way you know what they are, and then I will kind of go through them each and give you some tips of each one and how you can, you know, put each one into action, basically. But I got to tell you, the number one thing, and I've said this along the way, but this is the number one thing, because I hear this over and over when working with clients, is getting out of your own way. And I'll go into some ways about how to do that in a minute. I want to try to just do this so you can streamline, get kind of the ways. And the second would be to experience the inner peace and then embrace that, with happiness, and then be able to love without expectations. That would be number 3. Number 4 is to get into a space of loving without expectation. That is huge, huge, huge. Number 5 is growing with the flow. That's expanding our consciousness. That is taking what we've learned up to this point and putting it into action, but embracing that journey and growing with the flow and not fighting it. Learning how to love in a space of gratitude. That would be number 6. Seeing the light in everyone would be number 7. Seeing the light in others, in our twin. And that's where I said, in part 4, to learn how to see your beloved as a star and put them in a star in your universe. That is allowing them to shine. See the shine in your beloved and others and all that is. And number 8 would be to become Christ-like, to become Christ-centered, to create the Christ consciousness heart by practicing the 4 cardinal virtues, which came through Lao Tzu and the Tao Te Ching, being able to put those cardinal rules, those cardinal virtues into your everyday life. So these are some 8 ways here that you can learn how to glow with the flow, growing forward on fire. So, okay, so let's talk a little bit of detail about each now. So I said the first one was the hardest, definitely the hardest, is getting out of your own way. And we've talked about this before, and I gave you some scenarios of how to, do this before. But we're going to talk about it again because this seems to be the hardest for everyone to do, as I mentioned. So part of it is, a lot of it is accepting yourself, accepting others, and you have to accept others, you have to accept yourself. Therefore, learning how to be who you are and definitely not apologizing for it. A lot of times people will do things and act certain ways, and then they'll turn around and they'll say, I'm sorry. But to not do that, to realize that when you are setting a boundary, you don't have to be sorry. There's nothing to be sorry for. That's who you are. That's like setting your, speaking your truth and setting a boundary in a way that is like works for you. And there's nothing to be sorry for about that. But another huge piece of that is letting go of the perfectionism in order to realize that it all is perfect and that every side of us is needed to create the whole, and every experience that we have is needed to create the experience we need to get the lesson we need to learn in order to grow forward and glow with the flow. And I'll tell you, a huge one here is letting go of the ego, which is edging God out, which is creating separation, which is saying that you need to be in control and you're not willing to surrender. And letting go of those self-doubts and stop second-guessing yourself. That's huge in blocking you from being able to trust this process because you have trouble listening to your own guidance, your own inner GPS. And that's the mind. That's the mind being in control and listening to the mind versus learning how to embrace heart and view it through your heart and being able to enjoy that journey really instead of fighting the process. That's when you really do surrender and you're going with the flow rather than swimming upstream. And that's choosing the path of least resistance, realizing that this journey You do have a destiny and you do have a plan, and you're surrendering to the plan, and you're surrendering control into the plan, and that you might have free will, but your free will is choosing how fast you get there and how your journey is about getting there. That's the free will. Either way, you have a journey, or I'm sorry, a destiny. And that is the getting in the vortex, that is getting in the flow, that is connecting to all that is, and that will allow things to show up when you let go of that control. But we got to stop focusing on the outcome in this and realizing that you need to focus on what's in front of you and embrace that. And does that mean staying in present time consciousness? PTC, present time consciousness. And to live in the now. And to live in the now from that harmonic place of balance, which is finding the inner stillness inside, no matter what storm is going on the outside. And then, just accepting that you can't change what it is going on around you, but you can change your response to what's going on around you. And it's that serenity prayer of changing the things you can, accepting the things you can't change, and then the wisdom to know the difference. So the serenity prayer is like a very good, definite, prayer to be one of your mantras every day as you're going through this process. So these are some ways for you to make sure to get out of your own way so you can embrace this journey. So the second one is in experiencing inner peace, and there's a mantra that I came up with, a peace mantra. So the acronym for peace gives us 5 ways here that you can be able to experience this inner peace. And the first one would be purpose-driven life for the P. The E is realizing we are an expression of God. The A is the acceptance of all. The C is compassion for all. And the E is evolving continuously. That we're continuously allowing ourselves to grow with the flow, because the energy is ever changing, and if we fight that process, we're swimming upstream and blocking ourselves from embracing that journey, which is another way of getting in our own way that I'm talking about. So the peace mantra. So practice that to help you gain that inner peace. Because if you're not doing a purpose-driven life, and you're not in purpose, you're not going to be settled. You won't have the inner peace that you're seeking. It's going to be, again, seeking out, and it's going to be outside of you, and you will not be able to connect with that peace that you're longing for, really, because that's what your soul longs for, is the inner peace, is to get into alignment, and that is what brings you the ultimate inner peace. So number 3 is loving without expectations. That is when we can experience the ultimate relationship. That is when we get to understand what unconditional love is. That is us trying or accepting the process. That is us deciding that we're not going to close doors on what's in front of us, including our twin or any other relationship that is part of our journey that's allowing us to our growth and our expansion, because we're not waiting. So it's like, you can't wait. You have to let go of all these details. You have to stop keeping score. Keeping score in a relationship is one of the number one things that sets up a relationship to fail. See, here's the thing. To experience the twin flame journey that's considered an unconditional love vibration and letting go of the self-desires, you have to learn how to love someone that doesn't love you back. You have to learn how to love someone that's abandoned you. You have to learn how to love without the walls that's blocking you from receiving the love that you're desiring. Unconditional love does not keep score, does not set our twins, our beloved, up to fail by putting out there the expectation that they're going to meet everything inside of you that you are missing. And letting go of the codependencies and the expectations of the concept and the idea that they're going to make you happy. Because it's just not going to happen. And that could be anything, any material thing, anything outside of you, thinking that you're going to be happy when you have it and missing the point of having the unconditional love within self, creating the self-happiness that then is the only way you can go forward in a place of being happy, really. Because let me just say this too. Sometimes people will think that where they're at in this journey or in their life, that they're not happy. But if they change all these circumstances on the outside, they'll be happy when they get there. Or like, I'll be happy when I get a new job. I'll be happy when school's out. I'll be happy when I finish these tests. I'll be happy when I have the perfect relationship. I'll be happy when I can have more money. It does not work that way. You have to be happy where you are. You have to be content where you are before you can ever have that which you desire, because you're only going to have what it is you desire once you find the inner peace, stillness, and happiness within what you already have, which is creating the self-love. And that means the unconditional self-love and letting go of the expectations and the conditions upon self before you can creating the ultimate relationship with yourself before you can have the ultimate relationship with your beloved. I want to read to you my famous, well, not my famous, but the famous Bible quote of 1 Corinthians 13. And it's 1 through 13. So I want to read this to you. It's the New International Version in NIV, because this is just beautiful. And it sums like all of this up. And if you're seeking all of these things in this unconditional love, I would make this your mantra every day to read these verses 1 through 13, 1 Corinthians 1 through 13. 1 Corinthians 13, 1 through 13. Sorry, because that's wow. That's a lot of 1, 3, and 3s going on there. There's some powerful numbers behind that, which technically boils down to like a 4 and a 4, which creates 44, that I've been shown that 44 is reunion. So that I just now realized that. That's pretty cool. So, all right. So here's what I wanted to read to you. I'm not going to read each verse individually. I'm just going to tell you it's 1 through 13. So, I speak in the tongues of men or of angels, but do not have love. I am only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, and I have a faith that can move mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing. If I give all I possess to the poor, and I give over my body to the hardships that I have, that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. It keeps no records of wrongs. It keeps no records of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with truth. It always projects, always trusts, always hopes, and always perseveres. Always perseveres. Love never fails, but where there are prophecies, they will cease. Where there are tongues, they will be stilled. Where there is knowledge, it will pass away. For we know in part and prophesy in part, I'm sorry. But when completeness comes, what is in part disappears. When I was a child, I talked like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I put the ways of childhood behind me. For now we see only a reflection as in the mirror. Then we shall face to face. Now I know in part that I shall know fully, even as I am fully known. And now those three remain: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love. Wow. Wow. Powerful, powerful stuff. I highly recommend you resonate and use that in your mantra on a daily basis to remind you, because when working with the twin flame dynamic and you know, working with twin flames every day, you know, these are the number one things that I see is setting our twins up to fail, having expectations on them and setting them up to fail by, I'm going to give you even a day-to-day example, sending out a text, sending out a message, sending out something with an expectation behind it that you either don't get a response back or you don't get the response you wanted back. And now you resent that, and now you get angry over that, and you just set yourself up for frustration, and you set your twin up to fail because you had an expectation behind your intention. So letting go of these things is letting go of the intention behind the thought, the action. And when you surrender, it's the intention behind this that creates the energetic either attract towards you or push away from you. What is it that you have in your intentions? Think about this. Your intention should be to only love. Your intention should be to only serve. Your intention should be that not to expect anybody to fill you up with what you need to fill yourself up with. It's your responsibility that you signed up for to learn these lessons for yourself at this phase of your journey. And it's time to let go of all the things outside of you that you think you need to get you towards your destiny, when it's you letting go, getting blind faith, and getting in alignment with your destiny and surrendering to the concept and the idea of the control, and to realize that it's all about going forward in blind faith. And that's what you're asked to do at this stage of the journey. Okay. Wow, that was a little off track, but apparently it needed to come through. So, the fourth one, I kind of talked about this. I'm going to briefly bring it up again because I want to clarify it. So we need to have acceptance of ourselves, acceptance of others, and acceptance of our beloved, our twin, our highest divine partner this lifetime. And that means to let go of all judgment. Let go of all judgment. Let go of all of the preconceived notions. Let go of all of the illusions that we've created in our mind. And again, another piece of it is expectations. We have to let go of these things so that we can accept what is coming in, and that means and allow what to come in to show up for our journey. If we can't, the things aren't going to show up until we accept these pieces of ourselves and accept the journey too. So until we release our expectations and we open this place of acceptance, and we can't accept anything outside of us until we've came into full surrender and acceptance of self. And that boils down to self-judgment too. The big key when we say judgment, letting go, is like letting go of the self-judgment here. And I mentioned this before, but the number 5 is growing with the flow, which is energy is ever changing, and that being that we have to learn how to accept ourselves in this process, accept the journey, to realize we're better today than we were yesterday, and that we might make mistakes and we might revisit things, but it doesn't mean that we're going to stay there. And so we need to let go of the self-sabotage and the preconceived notions and stop beating ourselves up, and that we get to either shift in this journey because we signed up for it, or we're going to be starting to be shifted because we did sign up for it. And therefore, are we going to cling to the resistance of fighting the process, or are we going to take the path of least resistance, let go, and grow with the flow? So, okay, that is number 5. Number 6. Learning how to love with gratitude. Learning how to love with gratitude. That means that we have to be happy with where we're at. We can't be focusing on where we're not, which is separation. We have to see our journey as embrace it, and see all of the obstacles and the circumstances that come up with it along the way as teachers, so that we can stop focusing on the outcome that takes us out of separation. It takes us out of gratitude when we're trying to be somewhere we're not, because that says we're not grateful for where we are. Stop focusing on how far it is you have to go in this journey, and start focusing on how far it is you came. That'll keep you moving forward. That'll keep you glowing forward on fire. That'll keep you loving with gratitude. And start yourself a gratitude journal, and every day list 5 things that you're grateful for. And if you can't come up with any, start with the simple things and the fact that you woke up today, you're breathing, you have eyes, you have hands, you have legs, you have ears, you have a voice. And we're being asked to use all of what we have to our greatest potential. And that is going up in the evolution of our soul and expansion of our highest version of us, and realizing that we aren't perfect people, but that it is all perfect when we can see the beauty in the perfection of the journey. Okay, so number 7, see the light in others. So before we can really see the light in others, we have to first acknowledge our own light. We have to also see our own twin, our own highest divine partner, as the star shining brightly in our universe. I've already talked about how to do that last time. But then to see the light in action in other people, to see the good of them, really. That's kind of what it means. So if you're having trouble seeing your twin, you know, or your beloved in a space that that all you're seeing is the bad in them, that's all you're going to get. You're going to get more of what you see out of it. So shift your perception of what you see. So change the way you think, and the things you think about will change. And choose to do this. So see the light in everyone and see them shine. You know, I'm going to give you an example too. I'm just going to talk about, like, if you work in a work environment and you're an employee and somebody brings out the good in you, You will do your best. You'll go above and beyond just because they paid attention to something you did great. Now, this happens on an energetic level. This happens in the vibration of the energy. So if you're focusing on all these bad things about your twin, guess what? You're programming your twin with all the bad things and to get them to continue the pattern of where they're at. You have to see the good in them. Shift your perception. See the bad. You know, if here's something that I recommended before to clients is to, you know, put a bumper sticker of your twin like on your bathroom mirror and praise them every day. Praise them for the good you see in them. Praise will raise and elevate the vibration of not only them, but you. And then now they actually became your teacher in that mirror because you're the one that changed the way your perception. See how this works? And that didn't even have anything to do with it consciously. But that's how this works. See the man in the mirror. And then you will see the light in others because your light is going to shine. Okay, so the eighth one, I said, is becoming Christ-like, becoming the Christ-centered heart, practicing the Christ consciousness of our the cardinal virtues that I had mentioned. And there's really 4 of those. And the first one is have a reverence for all that is. See the beauty in all things. See the beauty in all life. See the beauty in the planet. See the beauty in the trees and the birds and the flowers and the bees. And, you know, you'll know when you're getting in real alignment with things when you can embrace the beauty in those things. And I can tell you this from experience, having been a driven person, never stopped to notice some little things in life that could now see bird feathers falling. I mentioned this in my book, Twin Flame Code Breaker, and see those bird feathers falling and seeing the beauty in that and realizing I was showered on the perfection of God's perfection here. That is embracing the journey. So having a reverence for all. And the second one is to live in a glass house. Basically, it's really about being honest and to realize there's different levels of honesty. We have the honesty that maybe it's not, it could be flat out lying to somebody, of course, okay? But we're talking different layers here. We're talking about living in a glass house, which means that also is going through life naked and living open and living vulnerable and letting people see the depths of you and allowing yourself to be seen. And these twin flame relationships are very deep like that, that you can see within the soul. And that scares the living fire out of people to be seen so deep. That's why a lot of running happens in these dynamics. That's why a lot of people stay closed off too, because they don't want to be so vulnerable. But it's allowing yourself to be open enough to share who you are. That's even being honest. Living in a glass house and being open enough to share who you are with others and being that vulnerable is living in a glass house. And then the third one is basically like living, leaving like a legacy of light, but that is doing it through acts of kindness. Doing acts of kindness every day. So I challenge you to, if you're in a place of misery and things aren't moving the way you want them to or the way you would like them to, I challenge you to just every day try to do one act of kindness and watch your life change. The fourth part of this living these cardinal virtues is the how may I serve, which is what will help you get into alignment with your purpose and your mission. And the only true purpose is to love and then to show up every day in alignment with what you came here to do and sharing your light with the world which is going to reflect back on you and shower you with the abundance of living in the glow and receiving all the rewards that you signed up for that are already there waiting on you, including your twin flame. You've got to believe in it, people. You have to believe in this journey. You have to say yes to it. You have to believe in it. And I keep saying that if you to believe in twin flame journey is believing in unicorns, and I'm going to say it again. And that's why I've set up my little unicorn shrine back here. And that's why I have my little unicorn in front of me. And I've been shown that I don't know when it's going to come out, but I feel like there's actually a video coming about, do you believe in unicorns? Because if you want your twin flame to be part of your journey, you have to believe in unicorns. That's the depths of your belief system you have to shift into, and trusting that process that it exists. You have to trust the unicorn exists, right? If you don't, how can you expect to get it? And I want to share with you too, that just reminded me of something I had printed off. Yesterday was my birthday, and I had taken the day off and went out and just had the most fabulous day. And I ran into all kinds of unicorn stuff, and I took all these pictures, and even had a special visit by Saint Germain, and it was just the most beautiful thing. And it was interesting. It was an interesting day, but it was beautiful. And all these signs showed up. So I went around taking pictures everywhere I went. There's these signs. So I took this picture of a shirt yesterday in the shop. I'm going to read it, and then I'm going to show it to you. And because this is how living in the vortex, you have to be childlike. Like the 1 Corinthians 13 verses. We've gotten away from the childlike, which I even said this prior, that about the falling star. And we have to be in amazement. We have to embrace this journey with enthusiasm. We have to learn to sing with mermaids, ride unicorns, and dance with the fairies. That is the magic and the beauty of the journey of getting in the vortex with all that is and receiving and reaping your rewards of all the things you came here to experience, do, have, and love. So I want to share this with you. Sing with mermaids, ride a unicorn, and dance with fairies. I want to leave you with that challenge today to make that your mission in life, to sing with mermaids, ride a unicorn, and dance with the fairies. So, okay. I feel like we're complete. I do want to share a couple of things with you. I had, after part 4, a couple different messages sent to me wanting to know about the color ray readings and how you know what specific color ray that you come from and how to, those virtues of that. And I had mentioned, the resources of that as being in the book. Also, that the 11-part video series also talks about those things. And so there's an entire video, entire chapter that kind of gets in alignment with those things. So I would really recommend that with Twin Flame Code Breaker and the 11-part video key code series. That links will be down here. And actually, if you sign up for the videos, it will take you to the link of the book. In addition to that, I did want to know, because I had inquiries of, like confirming, because there's in those things, it will give you information that you can identify with. But that's why I have been taught and trained through the direction of Saint Germain to also do the twin ray color code readings. So helping twin flames identify the ray that they incarnated from, so that they can get in alignment with that virtue that they came here to learn and experience, and with their ascended master and archangel, so that directs them towards their mission. So I want you to know that, like, that's been enough of a request that I wanted to share that in case anybody else was interested in more information on that. But I want to say this has been a phenomenal 5-part series, a phenomenal journey of this 5 parts. It's not over. More is to come. continue to embrace this journey, continue to return to oneness, which I'll have links to some other resources of getting in alignment with the return of oneness with my aligned tour, and the aligning with the light as far as getting in alignment with the activating of your diamond light, which will be a product going forward on top of the August 8th event here at coming up August 8th, 2017. There will be a product coming out of that, so be sure to plug into that for future reference. If it's outside of the timeline, know that there'll be, you know, a link to that for along this way I've talked about. If you're interested, there'll be more details for you to get that as well. But in the meantime, may you always face fears, find freedom, and glow forward on fire. And make sure to share the shine, like, subscribe, comment, and I look forward to sharing more shine with you with upcoming series or upcoming soul chats. And much love to you and many blessings. Namaste.